morning. Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into NTV's Good Life. I love what we're getting ready to talk about, and we interviewed this guest a couple years ago. He is an artist from Canada, and in 2006, he set off on a decade-long quest to paint, film, and explore the spectacular landscape of the Canadian Arctic. And joining us to tell us about how this is wrapping up, the artist himself, Cory Trepanier. Good morning, Cory. Good to hear and see you again. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you very much, Carol, for having me back on. Nice to be back.
Well, and one of the great reasons we're having you back is because all of our friends in our area can head to Hays, Kansas, because you have an exhibit that's heading down that way. Actually opens up tomorrow, but it's coming from this beautiful museum, the Oceanographic Museum in Monaco, where it was recently displayed. Tell us about when you went to Monaco and how the installation of something like this takes place, because it's an amazing thing to watch. You put it all on video. Tell us about that.
Well, thank you. So back in 2006, Painting the Arctic led to a traveling exhibition that started at the Canadian, all the way over to Monaco at the invitation of the Prince Albert II Foundation. There we had the opportunity to watch an amazing team display the exhibition in the conference room of Prince Albert II. And then that led to a private opening with the Prince, where I had an opportunity to spend some time with him, showing him the collection one-on-one, which is over 50 paintings, and also 3 documentary films that I've created from this journey. It was really wonderful because, the Prince is actually one of the leading voices in the protection of the environment. He's been to the Canadian Arctic as well, so there was some common ground to talk about, both in terms of the Arctic, but also in terms of the protection of the environment, which is one of my goals that my work inspires people to that end. And so it was a bit of a job trekking over 12 crates all the way to Monaco. And here's the incredible museum known as the Temple by the Sea, overlooking the ocean, built over 100 years ago.
Beautiful.
It was built by his great-great-grandfather, who was an Arctic explorer. Yeah, he was an Arctic explorer, his great-great-grandfather. And so he's got deep roots. He was an oceanographer as well, and it was him who built this museum 100 years ago. Of course, one of the challenges...
Like you said, everything is crated up and shipped and everything. That's challenging.
Yeah, 12 crates. The largest crate weighs almost 1,000 pounds because it contains a single painting that's 15 feet wide by 5.5 feet high. That's my largest painting ever. It's a centerpiece of the collection called Great Glacier. And at the museum, they wound up hanging it on the front wall, and that was a whole other job by itself.
Right. Now, when I want to show this next video clip, because I want you to speak to this from your personal view. When people view your work and you're there watching them view your work, what are they saying to you, and what is going through your mind as they're looking at your work?
Well, it's a pretty solitary pursuit to be a painter, and most of my time is spent on my own. So to have this opportunity to present it to the world and for people to interface with it has been really rewarding, as I've seen people be touched, sometimes to even the point of almost tears. And it's very rewarding as an artist to know more than anything, that what has moved me is now reaching out beyond the canvas and touching someone else. And I think that's the greatest reward I could ever ask for. I mean, I paint for myself first and foremost. That is my expression of my experience and what I do. But to actually have others connect with it is just really moving. So it's rewarding, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
And when people go to your website and look at your videos, they find that you've traveled and worked through so many extreme conditions, from heat to bugs to snow to being in the water. And we have video that shows some of your extreme conditions. Tell us about working in the great, beautiful Arctic.
Well, you got to put the effort in, that's for sure. And it's been a whole learning journey for me. Traveling to these places has probably pushed me physically beyond anything I'd ever done before. But it's also opened up, obviously physically because I'm carrying my backpack, I'm carrying all my painting gear and filming gear and photography gear and camping and food, so that I can have an experience that is one as much as possible of solitude and sort of oneness out there in the field. But you'll see in some of the footage that I've often traveled with the Inuit as well, and that has opened up my eyes to the world of the North, to appreciate it in a way that I hadn't expected when I first started it. Initially, it was just all about these places that are so beautiful, and then I got to meet the beautiful people and spend time with them out in the field, and it's been really just life enhancing to be able to make friends across the North as part of all of this. And now to bring it all to Hayes, to have all these crates be beautifully handled by the whole team there to convey all this to your part of the world. I'm just really thrilled they've taken on the exhibition there to present and to share. Coming soon, coming tomorrow, opening tomorrow, I see, which is just wonderful.
Absolutely. And it's at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History, and it's going to be there through September. We're going to take a commercial break, Cory. When we come back, I want to talk about that large painting that you just mentioned, and also some of your favorite memories from this great adventure that you've been on for almost a decade. We'll be right back. Stay with us, friends. And welcome back. We are talking with Cory Trepanier. He is an artist from Canada. He undertook an expedition where he traveled. And Cory, correct me if I'm wrong on my kilometers to miles. Over 60,000 kilometers, which is like probably over 30,000 miles is what you traveled, or probably more than that.
Yeah,
that is a lot. You saw so many things. 40,000. Okay, I have a quote here from you, and it kind of pertains to all your travel. You said once that in a previous interview, society needs places where the mind can wander, even if you never get there, and that's what you're bringing through your paintings.
Well, thank you, and I think it's true now more than ever. There's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world these days. And I think to know that the world is a beautiful place and it needs our attention. And if more people focus on the beauty surrounding them, maybe we'd be nicer to our fellow human beings as well. It's hard not to think of these things at this time. And so I hope my work can not just connect people to beauty, but when you're connected to nature, I think you start to view the world in a different way. You start to maybe be kinder to people. When if you love something, then it's got to come out in other parts of you. So anyway, it's a lot of incredible places to see, and to know that as remote as they are right now, we are impacting them from far away, and that's really an unsettling thing as well at this time. The way our climate has been changing, and the way it's been changing for the people up north. My friends, the Inuit. People who I've traveled with, who've shared with me how much less ice there is and how much that is affecting, and they're having to adapt. So all these things.
All this one of the things that you painted, and what we're looking at video of right now, I believe, is your biggest painting, the Great Glacier.
Yes.
Tell us about when hanging something like this, that must weigh a lot, and that is a precious painting, as all of them are. But what goes into hanging something like this besides experts?
Well, this was the most unique hanging situation that we'd ever come across. The tour's been to at least 10 museums so far. In this case, that crest on the wall is the crest of Prince Albert II's family, the Grimaldi family. And so at first, it's like there's no holes that were allowed to go into the wall. And I was actually very pleased and surprised they allowed the crest to be covered by my art while it was hanging there. But this team called, they're from Chenu, from Nice. They took an amazing approach to wiring it all up and hauling it up. And I just watched and in awe how they took care of everything. So.
It is amazing to watch how those are the experts that know how to do that. And they do it quite well. It's just amazing to watch that video. You've traveled, all over, like we said, more than 40,000 miles, in the polar regions of Canada. we have some video of some of the different places you traveled that I want to show. And while we're watching this, I know people are going to pick out maybe a favorite glimpse of something they see. Tell us your favorite part or your favorite memory from this great adventure that you've been on.
Gosh, I've done 5 expeditions. The exhibition is made up of paintings from the first 4, over 50 paintings, and the 3 films. I've continued to paint the Arctic. I've done almost 100 paintings from the Arctic in total. And through these various expeditions, there's just no one thing I could point out. But I guess, that iceberg out there, paddling in front of it and painting it from a canoe, the visceral experience of being a one-on-one in a little folding canoe that you see that I'm just pulling out right now was really incredible. Being out with elders on the land and learning from Inuit elders about what I could eat and how comfortable they are in the land, and how, I travel north with this mindset of being, I'm exploring these places. But for them, it's home. It's their backyard. And to see that level of comfort, it really gave me a different perspective. That's been wonderful, being surrounded by Arctic wolves up on the very high Arctic on Ellesmere Island with my brother Carl, just the 2 of us, and 3 Arctic wolves around our tent. All these experiences. And then a new one. In 2018, I went back to start a bunch of new paintings that are not part of the tour because the tour is already underway. And my 19-year-old daughter, Sydney, joined me. And for 2 weeks, we hiked over 100 kilometers on Baffin Island. And from that is a major new painting that I'm developing. You can kind of see it behind me here. It's called Asgard. It's only in progress. But from those 2 weeks with my 19-year-old daughter, to have her back with so many experiences, that's why I sort of became a filmmaker over the years and started telling stories that way.
And speaking of the films, people, when they see your Into the Arctic exhibition at the museums, the films are there, correct?
Oh, absolutely. The films, the documentaries are a major part of the exhibition. They're setting them up right now. I'm not sure the lay of the land, but they're going to be part of the show in Hayes, absolutely, at the Sternberg. And we've found that people wind up sitting and often watching the entirety of the films, to the museum director's surprise. Most museum directors have told us, 5-10 minute videos are good. Well, these are, hour and a half long documentaries, but people really seem to be drawn into them. And then when they look at the art, they have a different understanding of where the paintings came from, and they see that they really started in the north, and all the other parts of those experiences that I can't paint but I can capture on film become part of the story that go into the paintings. And they go into this as well.
And speaking of this, exactly, and speaking of the story, this is all documented in a coffee table book, which people can, if we're not going to get to the Arctic like you, we're not as adventurous as you, although I would love to be. Tell us about your coffee table book.
Well, if I may, I have a mock-up. It is not the real thing. Oh, by the way, if I'm back here, you get a sense of how big this painting actually is. And the little studies on the wall that I started in the field. But this is a mock-up only of the coffee table book. And I'm really thrilled. For me, it's sort of the end of this 14-year journey. Well, at least a big milestone in this 14-year journey. It'll be almost 300 pages, almost 100 paintings, stories. I was really honored that Prince Albert II wrote a beautiful foreword and timely foreword to the book, along with a lot of individuals who I invited, like Billy Arnikuk, one of the outfitters I traveled with. I asked people to share in the book about the Arctic, not about my art. We have the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario and one of our senators to add their voices in through the book to hopefully not just create a book of paintings, but a book that really brings you further into the Arctic and inspires people to look after this incredible part of our world. And I should say, it is currently available for pre-order. You can go to Amazon. So that's coming out later this fall.
Sounds perfect.
Working with that, yeah.
Perfect. Well, Cory, thank you for letting us be a part of this journey with you. I am honored that we've been able to touch base. I saw your work on Facebook, and I thought we need to get in touch with you and let people know who you are and what you're doing. And the fact that, all the way from Canada, we can view your beautiful works. And it's going to be in Hayes, Kansas, starting tomorrow through the end of September. Yep. It is going to be at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. We can get your pre-order your book on Amazon. So it's beautiful, great for people who love nature or who just want to learn about the great adventures you've been on and how to preserve those beautiful places. So, Cory, I hope we can join you on your next adventure that you go on. Let us know what that's going to be and how we can be a part of it, okay?
Well, the best way to be part of it is to, we have an email newsletter people can find out, or on social media. I started doing these live Facebook events here in the studio for those who are artists out there. I'm sharing some of my technique. It's on my YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to really share and see other people enjoy it as well. So thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. And we'll keep in touch. Thank you, Cory.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care.